Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending. I'm Master Sergeant Dennis Zanoni, and I'll be your narrator for today's competition. Welcome to STRIKEWERX and the Spark Sprint, or S3, honoring our innovation airmen's ideas of our strikers. We request that all electronic devices be silenced for the duration of the competition. At this time, I am pleased to introduce our distinguished panel of judges. Please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. The Commander, Air Force Global Strike Command, General Timothy Ray. The Command Chief, Air Force Global Strike Command, Chief Master Sergeant Charles Hoffman. The CEO, Cyber Innovation Center, Mr. Craig Spahn. The CEO of Building Our Region's Future, Dr. John George. Finally, we would like to welcome all commanders, superintendents, and the men and women of the Air Force Global Strike Command for joining us in person and virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this competition started. Judges, are you ready? Ready. Judges are ready. We have 6 teams from Whiteman Air Force Base, Minot Air Force Base, and Kirtland Air Force Base, Malmstrom Air Force Base, and Dyess Air Force Base. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to cheer and applaud for your pitches. Starting us off, representing Whiteman Air Force Base, Airman First Class Paul Olexa.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Airman Olexa. I'm an aerospace propulsion mechanic from Whiteman Air Force Base, part of the 509th AMXS. And I'm here to present to you the MAG rug. And here is my computer animated drawing rendition. Before I just give you a little bit of background. Prior to joining the Air Force, I spent some time as an area manager for Amazon. I went to sales school in Chicago as well as in Nottingham, England. And I also spent several years in the health and social care industry. So, the MAG rug, what is it? What purpose does it serve? What problem does it address? So, according to the FAA, FOD damage costs $12 billion a year, with $4 billion in property damage and $8 billion in delays, fuel, and man hours. In addition to the monetary cost, FOD damage has also resulted in the loss of hundreds of lives in the last several years. Every day, hundreds of aircraft are worked on. All it takes is one screw to compromise the safety of the aircraft and its crew. Several of these working environments have poor lighting conditions and confined spaces. If a part is dropped, it can easily go unaccounted for. Inspired by disco floors that light up when pressure is applied and magnetic entry mats used in floor and food processing plants to prevent ferrous contamination, my idea for the MAG rug is a portable rollout surface that can be deployed beneath work environments. The mat will be made up of several individual sections joined together and would trap metallic parts. A variety of sensors will complete a circuit that would light up the section beneath the fallen object. The part would remain in place and be visible in dark and obscure places. Several different sizes of the MAG rug could be produced for different work environments. So the MAG rug also has applications other than aircraft maintenance, particularly emergency vehicles, security force vehicles, weapons loaders, age equipment, and any other vehicle with flight line access that could create FOD. And here's a brief cost-benefit analysis, just showing rapid return on investment within the first year, just based on $4 billion FOD damage, and reducing that damage by 0.01%. So it also has a number of applications in the civilian sector, including plumbing and sheet metal work. I've already spoken with engineers. The technology is readily available, combining multiple tools to work in concert to detect FOD. Now, Uline, an industrial supplier, has 14 pages in their catalog dedicated to all types of floor mats, but not one of them addresses this particular need. So now I'm going to open up the floor to some questions, but I'd like to leave you with one thought. What other application can you imagine the MAG rug being used for? Thank you very much.
I do have a question. So $4 billion worldwide as far as FOD damage across the world as a cost. Do you know, or do we know, or have access to what the amount of FOD damage costs to the Air Force have been over the last year or so?
So I don't have those details. But again, I'm going to work hopefully in partnership with research and development, with the Air Force Research Lab, which I've been in contact with last week, and potentially some folks with the Texas A&M University that already expressed their interest in the idea to ascertain that information.
Do you intend to use it in the containment environment of the engine as opposed to just on the ground in order to capture those things and identify where they're most likely to cause damage?
Yes, sir. So I envision to use straight on the ground to collect anything, but I'm open up to any ideas. Again, the idea is very raw, but just using the imagination of research and development, any ideas possible. I welcome any suggestions.
So are there any other examples of something very similar like this? So can it kind of be more to the point, how mature is this technology and how much actually has to be done? How much actually has to be done to develop it? So you showed about $100,000 for development.
Yes, sir. So I've already pieced some of the technology, the sensors used, magnetic sensors, inductive pressure switches, a simple power switch on the side. In terms of power supply, it might be plugged in. If it's not, it could run off potentially a 9-volt battery supply and may need to be grounded to one of the grounding ports inside of the dock. So it depends on that. So,
Any idea how much of the FOD challenges we have are those things are when you're doing maintenance that are not magnetic?
So it happens all the time. Things from plastic tools, flashlights. Absolutely. I don't have the numbers on that. I apologize. But again, I'll work with R&D and the folks with that information to improve the product itself. So,
Does it have a sensor for pressure, or is it just magnetism that's going to indicate something?
so it's going to have a combination of both.
Okay.
Because not all, even if it's metallic, it may not be magnetic. So we need to determine if the sensors will be ferromagnetic, paramagnetic, or diamagnetic. Again, if it's a plastic, some device that drops, how that's going to react, and that's where the inductive pressure switch will kick in. So, but again, I have to rely on full support from the engineers with that, please. Sir.
Have you looked into the commercial market to see if there's anything available that even comes close to this?
So I show in one slide there is a floor mat used at food processing plants, and that's just for detecting ferrous contamination. But I've never seen anything that combines the light sensors. That's another sensor that would also be used, using light sensor, magnetic, and pressure combined in a floor mat. So.
Have you checked a patent search yet?
Not yet. That's the plan. That's the next plan, is to complete a global patent search to make sure that it's protected. Absolutely. Needs to be done.
Kind of begs the question of why haven't we thought of this already?
Right.
All right. Thank you, Airman Olexa.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
All right, very good. Also representing Whiteman Air Force Base, Technical Sergeant Kenneth Dunn and Technical Sergeant Thomas Gilbert.
Good afternoon. I'm Tech Sergeant Dunn.
I'm Tech Sergeant Gilbert.
We are from Whiteman Air Force Base's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Flight. Today we're going to talk to you about our Rapid Robot Deployment Project. So as you can see here, current process utilizes 2 personnel to lift a 200-pound ramp in order to deploy the robot, and this process normally takes 5 to 10 minutes. This also requires the team leader to help the team members set up the ramp, and typically EOD teams consist of 2 personnel, so this delays the team leader from talking to the on-scene commander, doing a threat assessment, and reducing or adjusting cordons. A solution to this problem is using a commercial off-the-shelf wheelchair lift. The wheelchair lift allows one person to quickly load and unload the robot in about 5 minutes. Another problem, or I'm sorry, this also allows the team leader to quickly go talk to the unseen commander and perform a threat assessment while the robot is deployed.
This particular wheelchair lift is rated to 800 pounds and tested at 2,400 pounds. The person you see there in the robot is only about 600 pounds, so well below the actual rated 800-pound weight. It also is low user maintenance. So the pure user maintenance is just greasing the few joints and greasing the hydraulics. It runs on electrical power, and if you have a failure in electrical power, as you see here, you just have to pump it up with the handle that's provided, and to lower it, you just relieve pressure and it lowers by itself. Another cool feature of this is it only costs us $7,000 to actually buy it, get it installed, and implement it. And it was only 48 hours from drop off to pickup, so it only lasts the actual use of our emergency response vehicle for 2 days. And you can sometimes lose that, just do normal maintenance on the thing for a yearly maintenance. Also, it has a warranty of 1 to 5 years, or 10,000 and 3,000 cycles. We estimate that we're about to use this about 300 cycles a year. It's only a tenth of the actual 1-year warranty, or 10,000 cycles. Additionally, to outfit all 52 ED flights in the entire Air Force, you're going to cost less than $400,000.
So kind of a recap here, you can see the difference between the current system and the new system, the wheelchair lift. I just want to thank you all for your time and your consideration, and open the floor up to any questions you all may have.
What is the cost of this versus the cost of the ramp?
So the ramp actually comes with the actual B-serve, so there's actually no real cost besides buying the B-serve. It's standard equipment on there. So you just an additional $7,000 for the actual wheelchair lift.
You factor in you only need one person instead of two for cost savings for the Air Force?
So you're always going to have 2 people on the standby team. The big proponent that you're going to get from this, instead of having the team leader helping the team member deploy the robot and take out the ramp and all that, the team leader can actually go talk to the on-scene commander during an emergency situation. So you're actually getting the ball rolling as far as other additional assets if you need them, adjusting cordons and making the scene safe.
And the other part of that too is that ramp, because it's so heavy and the way it goes on there, it's also pretty slick as well, even if a little bit of rain or a little bit of snow gets on that. So it's also kind of a safety hazard to personnel, and then also to the $250,000 robot that needs to go up and down it too.
Right. So it's it number one, be a safety issue.
Correct.
And so you ought to look and see if if you've had problems with the safety issue for your cost savings. Like, if you had one injury, I'm sure that would pay 10 times for 10 of these.
Yes, sir.
As you're doing your pitch.
Absolutely. I've seen one of the robots fall off of one of those ramps before and cost $10,000 worth of damage.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I would tell you the safety dimension of it there. I didn't think of that till you brought it up. I think that's one of the better pieces of your idea of simply the inclement weather and the need to do that smartly and safely. So yeah, it's a great idea.
Thank you, sir.
And so it looks like you've already installed kind of a prototype on one of your own vehicles. Is that what that?
Yep, that's right on our vehicle.
So has anyone else, to your knowledge, in the Air Force, have they started doing this, or is there anything like that in the works?
So we've reached out to a couple of the other flights, like within, because there's 52 flights in the Air Force. A couple flights have installed these before, like have done these before. But the point is to try and get this out so we can standardize the equipment across the Air Force. Because I just came from Korea a year ago, and none of PACAF has these on their emergency response vehicles.
So really a opportunity here to really scale it.
Yes, sir.
And-
Yes, Chief.
Okay.
I only had one question. The importance of being able to deploy the robot, I would think, is pretty imperative. If you had a hydraulic failure, or I saw that you're able to pump it up, but that's using the hydraulics. You've got a solution to a lack of power, but how do you overcome the lack of hydraulic pressure if you've got to get that thing out? And would you want to leave the ramp on as a backup to that, as a fail-safe for that?
So if you looked where the gentleman pulled the ramp out of the vehicle, it is actually stored up under that wheelchair lift. So it's stored in there all the time. So yes, it can be used as a backup. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes. I just hate to see you with it up there and not able to get it out or load it again after you've used it. So I wanted to make sure that, given the importance of, ordnance disposal, you've got a way to unload this thing.
Absolutely, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you have a problem with the hydraulics.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant Dunn. Thank you, Sergeant Gilbert.
Thank you.
Very uplifting presentation. All right. Representing Kirtland Air Force Base is going to be Technical Sergeant Mircho Plaza.
Thank you. Good afternoon, judges. My name is Tech Sergeant Mircho Plaza. I'm an allergy and immunization technician at the 377th Medical Group at Kirtland Air Force Base. I'm sure we've all encountered a problem that there was something that was disorganized, right? So you may have bought a spice rack to organize your spices, or perhaps you've bought some storage totes and some shelving to organize your personal belongings. Well, today, I'm proud to introduce to you a deliberately developed vaccine bin storage solution. And this was developed because we have 28 vaccine products at the immunization clinic, and it's very imperative that they are organized so that we're given the right vaccine to the patient every time. So there wasn't an existing product available that had all the characteristics that I was looking for. So as you see here, the bin has a section in the front with the vaccines that are in rotation. It's an open box of syringes and a section in the back for the overstock. And we're able to organize the vaccines, and that way the vaccines that expire are in the front. So then on the front, there's a large surface area in order to have a label for the vaccines with all the pertinent information. And here you see me beginning the process by taking the vaccine out of the fridge. That's the first thing I do, and I walk over to the counter here to prepare the vaccine for the patient. So this next clip shows one of our patients comfortably seated in our lazy boy chair. And I partnered with the Air Force Research Laboratory's Maker Hub to design the bin and use their laser cutting technology to cut the acrylic material, which was later assembled using an adhesive material. On the left, you see the old vaccine bins, and on the right, the new ones. There was many issues with the old vaccines. There was no surface area to label them. They were solid, so it didn't promote air circulation around the vaccine, and the overstock was kept in a separate area of the refrigerator. And so 23% of vaccine errors, according to the Institute for Safe Medication Practices, were attributed to giving the wrong vaccine. So we made proprietary labels on the front of them that they're very intuitive, so you recognize what vaccine you're getting. I learned earlier this week that there was an MTF, the military treatment facility, that administered 20 expired vaccines. So this helps with that as well. It holds about $60,000 of inventory of vaccines at a time, and 25% storage space was saved. And lastly, it cost $20. So with your help, I'd like to think big, start small, and scale fast so that we can provide safe, reliable, trusted care to our beneficiaries. I'd like to open it up for any questions that you have.
Hi. So it looks like the way we currently store vaccines in kind of looks like random bins. That your design adds an ability to circulate the refrigerant more evenly. Is there a benefit? What's the benefit to that? And is there a length issue? Things expire sooner. What's the health benefit of that, in your opinion?
The storage bins are an optimal solution. They help to make sure that we can actually sort the vaccines in the order of expiration. Depending on the vaccine, the shelf life could be anywhere between like a few months to even upwards a little over a year. But if you don't have them in the right order and you're not sorting them correctly, or let's say they're in a different area of the refrigerator, it takes longer to look over there, and you may miss something and run out of a vaccine inadvertently. And to your point about the air circulation, that's exactly right, sir. Promoting good airflow around the vaccine in an optimal way, just make sure that it's at the temperature conditions, even when we're opening up the doors, so that it's all about the efficacy and giving the vaccine and keeping it at that optimal temperature to prevent temperature excursion. Thank you for the question, sir.
Can you explain that just a little bit better? Help me understand the challenge with temperature, because that's something I didn't quite understand to be at play here if you're in a refrigerator, and why those holes help you.
Thank you for the question, sir. There's actually about a 200-page PDF on the storage and temperature management of vaccines. So I delved into it a little deeper, and I'm pretty analytical. So I really wanted to just, even though this is such a simple solution, come up with something that really checks all the boxes, right? And is it wrong to have a vaccine in a solid bin? No, but I think if we wanted to deliberately design it, there's 4 things that the bins addresses, and that's just a small part of the picture. If I have a temperature excursion and I got to get these bins out of the refrigerator onto a backup storage unit, taking this whole bin into my hands and carrying it, several bins, putting it onto a cart is so much easier than juggling all these boxes in the back. Maybe knocking them over and just throwing them somewhere, and then now we have to reorganize them once we get them back to our backup location or back to the original location where the vaccines are being given.
How much storage space, refrigerated space, do you think you save? Because it looks like you've tailored it to that size box, and you've got your stock with your dosage. Do you actually save any real estate and therefore less refrigerated space?
And there's influxes throughout the year where we receive hundreds and thousands of doses of flu. We just started flu season, so I need that space to make sure that I can accommodate those times where there's, some variability in our storage needs. And there's only 2 types of vaccine boxes, 3, and they're either this size or that size. So I actually developed slots in the back here with a shelf to raise it up. So it's kind of sticking up about that same exact height for other vaccines. So this is highly scalable so that we could get it in different sizes and shapes. Most MTFs use about the same size refrigerator I do, but we can customize them absolutely, since it's made with laser technology.
That's very helpful, thanks.
How many of the MTFs are there? How many of these are you going to want to replace? How many of the existing do you think you'll need to replace with this product?
Our particular refrigerator has 28 bins, sir. I'm not sure exactly how many military treatment facilities exist, but there are many. And the benefits of this is invaluable when it comes to trusted care. That base that I was telling you about that had 20 inadvertent administrations of expired vaccines, you can't put a price on that if there's a loss in trust. And that's actually why we had those labels made. They're proprietary. I'm not sure if we passed those labels out to you guys to take a closer look. You're welcome to take a look at those labels, but one's right here, and it tells you all the important details about the vaccine. And I think we can get this, in combination of the labels and the bins themselves, we could really help save patients from receiving the wrong vaccine or expired vaccines in the future. Thank you for the question, sir.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant Plaza.
Thank you.
Real shot of innovation there. Grab. All right. Representing Minot Air Force Base next is going to be Miss Joyce Son Nicholas, and Captain Eric Schonals.
Good afternoon. I'm Joyce San Nicholas, Chief of Installation PRAP, Minot Air Force Base.
And I'm Captain Eric Schoenhals, Director of STRIKEWERX, Minot Air Force Base. Today, we'll be discussing the issue of a lack of notification efficiency for the PRAP process.
So what is PRAP? PRAP is a program that commanders use to assess the overall health and wellness of their members in relation to their nuclear duties. So what is our solution for the PRAP problem? The solution is Atlas. Atlas is a database and app that work hand in hand to effectively increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of the PRAP program.
In September, a case study was performed showing that 833 notifications requiring 3,000 man-hours were required for notifications. Further breakdown shows 5 man-hours per PRAP monitor every day for each unit. Atlas can reduce these required times by 75%.
So this is a display of Atlas. Atlas is going through the notification process. The process begins at medical. Medical monitors will find a member in Atlas, and they will start that process of the notification. The notification then goes to the unit monitor. The unit monitor at that point will determine what commander it will go to and will shoot that notification out to that respective commander. So we all know, sirs, chief, gentlemen, that commanders are really hard to get a hold of throughout the day. But we also know that they always have their government cell phone on them. So through this app and with a touch of a button, the commanders can actually suspend the member immediately. That suspension then will go straight to the unit monitor, and at that point, the unit monitor will simultaneously send a notification out to all those shops that require to bring the member down on suspension. So,
Additionally, Atlas can be used for information sharing purposes. What used to take several hours for uploading critical source documents can be reduced to 30 seconds.
and these are just two of the things that Atlas can do for the PRAP program. Atlas, the new roadmap to PRAP.
This concludes our presentation. Are there any questions?
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, I think an important question here, too, really. Can you make this work on like Teams / a desktop, and not just because some commanders actually have to leave cell phones at the door? And then the second is, what's the improvement in accuracy? Because there's the timely piece, but there's also, as you well know, the accuracy of making sure that exactly the right people know and that no one has access that doesn't warrant that.
Yes, sir. That this system will address both of those problems. Joyce, if you want to elaborate.
Most certainly. So for the piece of the question where it comes to accuracy, any program is only as good as the individual that's inputting off of it. But the interesting thing about Atlas, when I've gone to other bases, I've noticed that everybody uses their own type of either database or Excel. So we're inputting the data on a constant basis. Atlas takes what we use, these imports, and it refreshes the data on a daily basis. Currently, that data at most bases, the refresh of that is monthly. So they have a response of a month time frame of information that's going back and forth, that it's based off of just individuals making these inputs. However, Atlas, we can do that daily, and that's that cut of that time to about 20 seconds when it comes to those imports into Atlas. So that's huge when it comes to the amount of time and accuracy of the actual program. I mean, that's something that I have seen a lot of, and I think I'd rather have the information updated daily than to turn around and have it updated monthly.
So can this then be fed to other places that says, okay, that line badge is no longer valid, and that makes the accuracy at the point of, validation for entry access So can you improve that particular process with this? Do you think that's, okay, then put on your IG hat. How inspectable is this? Meaning, how can I reduce the amount of time and energy I spend to evaluate whether or not the system is effective? Give me your thoughts there.
Yeah, I think it'll make it a lot easier for the IG or for staff assistance visits to inspect from their location. So it definitely enhances the ability to inspect these programs and see what, by just granting them access to get all that information, similar to like MCT, to where they don't have to travel to inspect the programs.
So we're sitting in a situation right now at Minot Air Force Base, and they've gone to a certain level, and now we have an NSAB that's coming there, and we don't know if that's going to happen. But with this, it can happen easily. So they can actually pull that information. They don't have to be there. It's not a physical necessarily inspection that needs to happen. I think a physical sometimes still needs to occur at points, but this can minimize the amount of actual back and forth to travel to bases for inspections.
Yeah, another important factor to consider is the scalability of something like this, where you can include pilots in their 1042s, DNIF status, operators for missiles. So it's really, the possibilities are kind of endless with how big the Air Force wants to take it for efficiency.
Definitely. And the shops, sir, that you were asking about earlier and how it can go across, we're working with security forces at the moment in like K-Trip and Armory. So arming use of force is part of PRAP. PRAP is the umbrella, and the two legs of that would be PRP, which is the maintenance side and missile side and operations, and the opposite side is security forces. PRAP isn't just at nuclear bases. PRAP is actually across the whole entire Air Force. So right now, arming use of force is so new and so young at being created that now's the time to actually put arming use of force and have something for them to have a repository. Admin qual cell, bringing admin qual cell into that factor. One of the biggest issues with admin qual and individuals transferring from admin qual to the respective bases, this is a repository that we can create that would give that ease of transfer of the member. So it's basically a deprovision of a member out of admin qual and a reprovision of them at their new base. And it's as quick as that versus the old way of transferring through emails, going into something else and trying to find all that data that needs to go with that member.
This is significantly important in our line of work.
Right.
So for the uninitiated in this, you know, this is a very accuracy dependent kind of capability. I can't go into all the details as to why, but this is pretty fascinating.
Are you all building this yourselves, or is this just an idea of building an app out?
So I'm a novice database builder. And what they've done is they've taken my database, and we've gone to a company that we're working with currently, and they've already put Atlas into this rollout, and we're supposed to roll out here in the next 2 weeks with a base level. But again, this is something that really could help across the Air Force wide with security forces folks and PRP folks.
Just real quick, I know we're coming short on time, but every database ingests data from somewhere. So where does Atlas, because to the boss's point, accuracy is important, and right now it's in multiple spreadsheets, but there are multiple spreadsheets right exactly where most of those members are.
Mm-hmm.
So what databases does this access to ensure that it's the right person connected to the right command chain with the right cell phone number? Because like you said, if we're talking about data entry, I mean, that is as error prone as.
So we have two records of system. One on the security side, which is JPass/DIS, and the other one is MilPDS. Those are our active live databases where all of the members' information rests. Those reports come straight out of those two, straight into our database. So it is live feed. So we're now not working off of metrics of, oh, I know what happened last quarter. I know what happened 2 quarters ago. I want that information that's happening now so that I can make the resolution and fix the problems that need to be fixed right then and there, not a month later.
Thank you, Ms. San Lucas and Captain Shonals.
Thank you, sir.
All right, representing Dyess Air Force Base, Senior Airman Kalei Sloan.
Our airmen need to be more resilient. Currently, the building blocks for resiliency are sponsorship, DUI prevention, suicide prevention, and sexual assault prevention. These make up resiliency. The programs in place currently are not doing enough to cater to the modern-day airman who is expected to be resilient. Airmen don't want to carry around a squishy SARC ball or memorize the chaplain's number or memorize their Airmen Against Drunk Driving phone number. This makes this foundation weak and it crumbles easily. So, how do we fix this? What now? Well, I'd like to introduce you to program Wingmen. This app will enhance our sponsorship program by allowing airmen to connect with their sponsor and peers at their new base before they even get there. They can use geolocating to get to and from appointments in a place where they probably have never been. They can schedule these appointments through the app, so when they get where they're going, they're expected there already. And they have up-to-date checklists from their squadron and wing. Next, DUI prevention. At the touch of a button, airmen can request a ride if they are intoxicated and their ride falls through. Airmen who are on the other side of this can volunteer to drive these airmen so that we make sure our people get safe. We're a one-mistake Air Force. So if we stop the mistakes before they happen, we increase retainability and we save lives. Finally, suicide prevention and sexual assault prevention. The Wingman feature of the app allows airmen to click a button and alert someone when they are in an uncomfortable situation or when they just need someone to lean on. This epidemic of suicide and sexual assault has increased rapidly over the past few years. And this decreases our retainability and costs us lives and good airmen. We are the best Air Force in the world. So, this builds a solid foundation for resiliency, and it can't easily be knocked over. We need to cater to our new younger airmen who do want the apps and give them a community where they feel connected and they can talk to their peers and have help from them. Any questions?
Are you in the process of trying to build this app right now, or is this just an idea?
So it's an idea, but we are waiting for our coder to return from coding school so we can begin the development.
Do you have any idea what the cost might be on something like this?
Yes, sir. So the sustainability cost per year from the company who is building it for us will be about $90,000 a year, and this will allow us, we'll run it on their network, and it's unlimited users. We would, however, like to give it to the Striker Airman coders. So we can cut that cost down to about $1,000 per year and run it on Air Force servers and give our airmen the opportunity to learn and be involved with this.
How do you think the cultural environment is going to receive this? I'm ignorant of the culture. I don't know how prone someone would be to make use of these kinds of tools. I don't know if it's a fear-driven culture and that to admit any of this would create problems or if it would be well received.
Yes, sir. That's a great question. So our culture as it stands, we're very technology and mission driven. The mission comes first, and the new airmen We love to video game. We play on phones. We use apps for everything. I can tell you that this morning I woke up with a reminder on my phone to be here, just in case. So this technology-driven culture, it's not super connected face-to-face. We're having trouble now learning how to communicate face-to-face and tell people that we're afraid and that we need help or simply I need a ride home. So with this increase in technology, I believe this will be very well received because it does give you an outlet where if you're not in a face-to-face setting, it might be easier to talk to someone and let them know, like, hey, I'm having a hard time. So I believe that this will be very well received, and like we just need to get it out there.
How's it going?
Good, how about you,
Great
sir?
presentation so
Thank
far.
you.
It's a question, as part of resiliency, and I'm just curious, so putting you on the spot here, but how many times do you get feedback as a part of resiliency, how I'm doing, you know, from your supervision, and how well do you think our airmen are getting feedback?
So me personally, I receive feedback when it's mandated and required. Very rarely do I see my supervisor unless he's on crew with me, so I'm air traffic control. Our schedules don't always align, so I might see my supervisor once to twice a week. If I have an issue, I go to him with it, and that's kind of it. Seeing and hearing from my other airmen in the OSS, feedback that's like the standard. There are very few supervisors, and I'm not saying that there are none. I'm sure there are great people out there who do go above and beyond, but there are a lot of supervisors doing the bare minimum, and the airmen aren't sure what they're supposed to be doing, and then at the end of the day don't feel like when they don't get accomplishments, they were like, I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. Nobody told me how I could do better. I think that this is kind of the standard, at least in my unit.
So if you had an app, just like the notification you got today, and you woke up in the morning and you had something for that app, and you hit that, and it was your supervisor saying, hey, I just want to let you know, did a great job on X yesterday.
Yes, sir. So, and this kind of goes into another app that I've been discussing with Colonel Sumingo, the fast feedback app. It was also on the idea scale. So we are in the process of trying to make this a completely separate app to help supervisors and airmen bridge the gap with their connectivity.
Okay.
Sir.
Can I ask you, and I'm the least familiar with this, I'm sure, but the support that you have now, have you been talking to, I mean, obviously there's a way for you to get support for sexual assault, drunk driving now. Have you gone and asked them about supporting you in this effort? Because I'm sure they have budgets and all sorts of things that could help.
Yes, sir. So we do have SBIR Phase 2 paperwork currently submitted that we are awaiting approval. I believe the deadline is November 2nd, and we hope to hear an answer by January. If we do get the SBIR funding, the Science and Technology Center has offered to give us $100,000 to match that so that we can build this.
Great. Super.
All right, thank you, Airman Sloan. All right, representing Malmstrom Air Force Base, Staff Sergeant Justin Latham and Staff Sergeant Matthew Thorne.
Good afternoon. My name is Staff Sergeant Matthew Thorne. I'm from Malmstrom Air Force Base.
And I'm Staff Sergeant Justin Latham. I'm also from Malmstrom.
On the left is our current hydraulic unit. On the right, you'll see what it's used for. This is the launch facility, and it's mainly used to open the 110-ton door to gain access to the Minuteman missile. This unit to the left has been in our hydraulic section at Malmstrom since 2018, still awaiting parts. And on the right is the Baldor two-phase motor that actually runs the pump. It's made in 1977, so due to the age of the motor windings and stuff, it's increasing the risk of fire and shock, and it's not reliably putting out the horsepower needed to open the door. Here's more of a size comparison. On the left, you'll see the hydraulic section again. How many panels they have to take off just to get to the internals and do just minor adjustments, versus on the right, the actual new unit and the compact size of it. Here's a video of it in operation at the trainer at Malmstrom.
So as you can see, our new unit here is a lot smaller. The bottom blue portion here that you see is actually from our old unit. So our unit is currently easily adaptable to what we are currently running in the field today. So here we have a side-by-side for you for some stats here. Old unit versus our proposed unit. Ours being 471 pounds lighter, a lot less risk for our technicians. A lot of known incidents have happened with the heavy unit that we have. It also requires one less user, allowing another team member to continue with their tasking, whereas now we can have them use the remote control and actually do inspections while opening the door. Ours is also $5,915, saving over $11,000 from a refurb of our current units. It's also running off of 110 volt power as opposed to 208. So not only can it plug into site, but it can also run off of our payload transporters on site as well. It's also a commercial off-the-shelf item. We have Interpack service centers near every base. So if there is a problem or we need parts for anything, they're always readily available for us. So to fully refurbish, Malmstrom's fleet alone would cost $204,000. Again, that's just for a refurbish of our old units, as opposed to a full replacement of our unit for $47,320, saving over $165,000 for just our wing alone. Through further research, to refurb the entire current fleet would take over 3 years to go through depot processes and get them back to us, whereas getting in our new unit as a whole new fleet would take just over 2 weeks. That's all we have, and we are ready for your questions.
For our teammates not in uniform, could you explain the speed at which that door was moving? Is that what you could do with the Interpack? Was that about the same or faster or slower than the big?
It's slightly faster than the old system, but it's marginal. So it's about the same time frame to open and close the door.
So the point I'm making is it didn't look like it was moving fast, but it's not meant to move fast. Have you brought this up with anybody else and dealt with a bureaucratic pushback?
I have, sir. Right now there's 2 units, one with, I've contacted BAE Systems and Northrop Grumman, so there's 2 units in the Hill doing testing. They're about to start in November on the PIDs to make sure it qualifies everything. So I have 3 different iterations of this pump, so if one fails, next can go up. If that one fails, we have multiple redundancies on if anything does not pass. But right now I'm more worried about going through the PIDs, getting the inspections done.
Do you have any nuclear compliance issues you have to address as a function of this?
So the old unit is not nuclear compliant or not nuclear certified. It's just used as a tool or a piece of equipment. And that's how I've been falling under those guidelines with the new unit. I'm just waiting for the inspections to pass over to see if anything does come up.
Okay, thank you.
So what's holding you up from doing this already?
So what's holding us up from doing it already? You might
I'm
explain
sorry.
the PIDs thing.
No, oh, sorry. Right now it's just testing. So we need to get testing and we need to get funding for the wings to get it pushed through as quick as possible.
Right.
It's 5 different wings that use it for the actual testing and stuff.
That looks like a no-brainer to an outside guy.
No-brainer to me.
Nice presentation.
How many other areas in your business do you think you could do this with, other swap outs for commercially off the shelf?
So to speak more on commercial swapping, in the video that you saw, I explained how we have it currently adapted to the old system. We're also able to swap that system out for something more like this and more efficient and effective at a lot cheaper as opposed to refurbing. So we have another part that could pair
Thank
with
you,
this.
Sergeant Latham and Sergeant Thorne. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what amazing pitches. Give our contestants, all the contestants, one more round of applause. Our judges will now decide the 2 winners. Please stand by. We'll also do a quick review of some of the great ideas we saw and some of the amazing things we have. For those of you out there still following us virtually, I appreciate it. All right, we have the EOD lift cart, trying to lift people up and get that mission started. Good stuff. We also have the launcher door that you just heard, trying to get things launched out and done better. The PRP app and Army Use of Force app, trying to streamline all our technologies and all our processes in one time. Pretty rare you're excited about PRP and Army Use of Force, right? And then we also have the vaccine bin. So pretty nice. No, most people don't think about getting shots and where it comes from and how it all works, so pretty interesting as well. And then we also have lastly, we have the Striker app, which is pretty neat, right? Rolls a lot of programs into one app. So it's looking pretty good, very interesting, a lot of good things. We'll see who the judges vote for and who's going to be representing us at the Air Force level coming up. Thank you very much. All right, all the votes are counted up and ready to go. General Ray and Chief Hoffman, would you please join us on stage for photos with the contestants? A1C Olexa from Whiteman Air Force Base. All right. Tech Sergeant Dunn, Whiteman Air Force Base. Tech Sergeant Gilbert, Whiteman Air Force Base.
Okay, good. Oh, Tom Gilbert, your dad. All right. Yeah. Yeah, say back.
Tech Sergeant Plaza, Kirtland Air Force Base.
There you go.
Miss Nicholas, Minot Air Force Base.
Awesome job. Good job.
Captain Shonalls, Minot Air Force Base. Senior Airman Sloan, Dyess Air Force Base. Staff Sergeant Latham, Malmstrom Air Force Base. Staff Sergeant Thorne, Malmstrom Air Force Base. All right. The winners of the S3 competition who will be representing Air Force Global Strike Command at the Spark Tank competition are Magmat, woohoo, and Striker app. Please come forward to receive your awards.
Come on up, guys. Come on up. All right.
Nice job.
Come on up here. Nicely done.
ladies and gentlemen, what a great group of pitches and great team. Thank you, Chief Hoffman. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, Air Force Global Strike Command, General Timothy Ray, with closing comments.
I'm just going to stand here if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, so, I have a hard job. I have to solve a lot of really hard problems, and sometimes it just kind of beats you down. But let me just tell you what, to come in here and to listen to you all solve problems with extreme ownership is the highlight of my entire week. And it just makes my day, and I deeply appreciate your service, and I appreciate you pitching in with, as the chief says, that extreme ownership to go make the mission better. I've been saying for quite a while now, we are never going to get everything we want out of the big system. And if we want it right, we got to make it Stryker right. And we've got to go find that layer of innovation that is the touch we need to apply to let us move rapidly and quickly. I've heard people say you can't innovate in the nuclear enterprise. I just saw a lot of that happen right here. That things that actually involved the nuclear business that were dire need of innovation. And so finally, thank you. And we need to set that tenor and tone. Here's the good news. We're going to do all these. We're going to do every single one of these programs. Bring them, because this is exactly how we have to move forward. And, when the chief and I saw this, we just saw not just the immediate application, but to your point about the app and how this ties to Stryker culture and where we need to go, and the ability to talk to this very tech-dependent generation and give them the feedback, we're already there. And so that's exactly how it's going to operate. To my teammates here in the community, Mr. Spawn, Dr. George, it's just great to have such folks here. How you like the cooking here with the STRIKEWERX facility, the Spark Sprint, and how this is how we have to continue to do things. And I just really like to see those folks in and around this area help come make the solutions that we're talking about real, and to just move as fast as we can. So I just want to say thanks to everybody and to all the folks out there in the virtual realm. Thanks for joining us today, and if there's more out there, bring it on. Very proud of all of you. Thank you much.
Thank you, General Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today, celebrating our most innovative Stryker Airmen. We hope you had a great time. Congratulations again to our contestants, all of everyone that showed up, and people that submitted as well out there. A lot of great submissions. We had a lot of packages to go through, so thank you for that as well. And thank you to all our Strykers, and have a great day.